Hey everyone, welcome to this video and special welcome to my yogis that I miss who normally meet with me on Tuesday evening. If someone else is joining us here, that's fantastic. Say a couple quick words that my usual yogis are used to me sharing with them about our practice, and that is if you're new to yoga, just understand that your practice doesn't necessarily have to look like mine. So, whatever I recommend, any cues I offer you or suggestions, you really need to listen to your body and follow what it says. The one thing I will tell you is I cue a lot of breathing as we're going along. And if you get kind of confused on that or whatever, the real key is just don't ever hold your breath. Hold the pose, but don't hold your breath, and you will be fine. If you match your breath with your movement, that's fantastic. But if that doesn't happen, that's really okay. And speaking of, your practice being your practice, uh, one of the disadvantages we have of doing this is I don't get an opportunity to talk with you and know what kind of limitations you may or may not have. So you really do need to listen closely to your body. If you have any kind of conditions that might make this difficult for you or something you ought not do, check with your doctor and see if it's okay before you go jumping into my video or anybody else's yoga video. I do try to make this as beginner friendly as possible, and I try to offer lots of modifications so that it meets as many people's needs as possible. That doesn't mean I can modify necessarily for everything, particularly when I'm blind to who may be watching. Lastly, the one thing I would say is that in general, if you have some high blood pressure issues, I wouldn't be raising the arms above the head over just a few seconds. When we circle sweep up and go into a forward fold or something like that, that's fine. But if we do warrior poses or things like that, that will hold longer, you might want to bring your hands down to like heart center in a prayer pose instead of holding them above your head, because that elevates your blood pressure some. We don't want to stress you unnecessarily. And I think that's about it. If you have glaucoma or eye pressure issues, I wouldn't bend the head forward and put pressure that's going to bring pressure to the head. You can come down to level when we do a forward fold or something like that, but I wouldn't invert your head. So uh, that said, let's go ahead and move into our practice. Uh, Find yourself a easy seated position. I'm sitting good old what we called crisscross applesauce when I was a kid in elementary school. And you can sit like this if you need to put a leg or both legs out um, in order for you to be comfortable. If you have tight hip flexors, that's fine. Or you might want to sit on a block or a pillow to raise you up. Sometimes that'll take pressure off the hips. But find whatever is your comfortable seated position for this evening. And we're going to start here. And I would invite you to kind of root down through your sit bones um, to get a solid base, connect firmly with the ground. Reach up nice and tall through the crown of the head, almost as if someone was pulling a string up through the top of your head. And let's lift the shoulder. Inhale and lift those shoulder back. Exhale, roll them back and let them drop down to open the collarbones, open the chest, draw the shoulder blades kind of toward one another to help with that. The elbows should be hanging loosely beneath the shoulders. The hands can rest on your knees, down or up, whichever feels best for you tonight. I say tonight, I'm filming this night. Who knows when you're watching it? And just observe your breath for a few moments. Now we're going to begin to control and shape the breath to slow our system down, calm our nervous system. I invite you to inhale through the nose For about a count of 4, and exhale through the mouth for about 4. Do that a couple times on your own, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4, inhaling 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to move into, it's called Nujaya breath, sometimes called ocean breath. And what I'd invite you to do is inhale through the nose like you were sniffing a flower. This is just preparing for it. We'll inhale and exhale like you're trying to fog a mirror. Do that a couple times. Just get the feel of that. When you inhale, try to inhale down, filling kind of from the stomach up. Feel the belly distend as you inhale. As you exhale, draw the navel back toward the spine. Now we'll actually move into Ujjayi breath. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to do the same breath, same quality of breath, but you're going to close the mouth and exhale through the nose, tightening the throat a little bit so that there's a little bit of a kind of a rattle in it, sort of a Darth Vader sound. So it'll be inhaling. Continue to do that, doing that 4 count. Now that slight noise is important, that slight rattle in the breath. What's happening is, as you do that, that vibration in the back of the throat is stimulating and soothing the vagus nerve, and that nerve is very core to what's called a parasympathetic response, moving from fight or flight into a relaxed mode. Now let's begin to draw the exhalation out a little longer than the inhale. We'll go inhale for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. We're going to exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to do that for a couple breaths on your own. As you do so, you may want to pick an intention for your practice this evening. That could be relaxing. It could be connecting with God. Might be strength. Find a word that captures what you would like this practice to be about today. Now in our next inhalation, let's circle sweep your hands up, bringing them together above the head. Exhale, drop your right hand to the mat, reach over with your left hand. Gaze can look up slightly, that will help open the chest. Try to keep your left hip rooted to the mat, not let it release and come up. You can exhale and maybe walk the fingers out a little bit more so you go into a slightly deeper stretch. And on your next inhale, let's draw up to the middle, go to the other side. Walking the fingers out, slight gaze up, reaching nice and long over, really feeling these these small muscles along the rib cage opening up. And let's inhale up. Exhale, turn to the right. On your inhalation, lengthen up through the spine. Imagine as we breathe in, we're creating space between the vertebrae that help us get nice and tall. And then as you exhale, soften deeper into the twist. Your left hand is on the outside of the knee. The right hand is coming behind you, and I just kind of have it in a little tent shape on the floor behind me, helping support me. Reach up through the crown. Even if you're pushing up with that back hand, you don't want to collapse the neck and shoulder together. You want to always keep lots of space between the ears and the shoulders. The neck nice and long. And take one more deep breath here. On the exhale, deepen, soften into that pose. And inhale, let's circle sweep those hands up. Exhale and come to the other side. Right hand on the outside of the left knee. Crown reaching high for the sky. Spine nice and long. Twists are awesome for stimulating digestion. Twists also help move toxins out of tissues and organs. You're massaging internal organs. Stimulates the lymphatic system too, which is a system that helps keep us healthy, which everybody's concerned about right now. Let's do one more breath here. Inhale, come back to center. Circle sweep those hands up. Let's bring them out on the mat in front of you. Just walk the fingers forward with an exhale. Kind of round over and let the head hang for just a moment. Let's walk those hands back. Sit up nice and tall. Change the cross of the legs. And let's do that again. Walk those fingers forward. And walk them back up on an inhalation. Take a nice deep breath here. And on an exhale, go ahead and turn to the short end of your mat. Top of your mat, we're coming over into a tabletop position. We're going to do a little bit of cat-cow to limber up our spines. The wrists are beneath the elbows, elbows beneath the shoulders. We're stacking the hips above the knees. We're going to ground down through the hands nice and strongly into your mat. And on an inhale, let's drop the stomach down, draw the chest and collarbones through, let the crown of the head come up, let that belly down like an old cow. And on an exhale, let's round up through the shoulders, pushing down through the hands like an angry cat. And flowing with your breath, move between those. Inhaling and dropping the spine down, drawing up through the crown of the head and through the collarbones. Exhaling, rounding up through the spine, drawing that navel up toward the spine as well. You go at your own pace. Do that for about 3 or 4 breaths. Do one more last breath here. All right, come to a neutral position. Gaze is down between the hands. We're going to reach back with the right foot, tuck the toes under. I'm going to scoot up on the mat a little bit. Tuck the toes under, let the weight rock back into that foot slightly to where we feel the calf engage, maybe the back of the leg and the glute a little bit. Not a big deep stretch, but it's great for the foot and the calf in particular. On an inhale, shift your weight slightly forward where your shoulder's above the wrist. We're going to lift that leg up towards level with the hip. We're not stacking the hips. The right hip is level with the left hip. And if it's available to you, reach that left hand out. Continue to gaze down at your mat. Engage your rear foot. Reach long in both directions like somebody's pulling you like a big piece of taffy. And on the next exhale, go ahead and drop the hand and knee to the floor. We're going to reach back with that left foot. Exhale back into that calf. Breathe here. Relax the face and neck muscles. Sometimes we tense those things up without even thinking about it. One more breath here. Now let's inhale, draw forward and lift that leg up. Also lift up the hand if that's available to you. And this is really great for strengthening our core, which gives us better posture, it gives us better balance. It's a really good balance pose to practice. One more breath. Exhale, bring the hand and knee down. And let's bring the knees wide, roughly the width of your mat. Draw the toes together. We're going to sink back into a child's pose. Great restorative pose. Just breathe here for a moment. On inhale, let's come forward to neutral position, and we're going to walk the feet back a little bit. We're going to come down onto our forearms, let our belly come down to the floor. The arms are parallel with one another. This is Sphinx pose. We're rooting the tops of the feet into the mat. The shoulders should be stacked directly above the elbows and the hands parallel like a number 11. And rather than collapsing the neck back, don't do that. We want a nice smooth arc through the spine. Imagine you're reaching forward and up with the crown of the head. It's a very different feel than collapsing the neck back. Let's inhale and look over your left shoulder. Exhale and relax into that. It's a very subtle stretch, but I can really feel this along the right obliques, which are muscles along the right abdomen. Maybe a little bit in the little intercostals, all those little tiny muscles tying the ribs together. Let's inhale to center. Exhale, look back over that right shoulder. Okay, bring back, head back to center. Place the hands roughly alongside the chest. We're going to push up and go back into child's pose again, spreading the knees wide. Might need to walk the hands back a little bit. Just pausing here for a second. Now we're going to move towards standing. I'm going to go by way of downward dog. If you have some mobility issues, it's difficult for you to do that. You can go ahead and just bring yourself to a standing position, whatever way is safe and best for you. For those who want to join me in downward dog for a moment, you're going to tuck the toes under, root down through the hands. You're going to lift the hips high toward the ceiling. You can leave a bend in the knees as much as you need to. The ears are alongside the biceps. You're drawing the chest through. Let's take a moment. We'll walker dog. Inhale up on the toes. Exhale, drop the right foot down, bend the left knee. The heel drawing toward the mat. It may or may not touch the mat. That's okay. And we'll inhale up, drop the left leg, left heel on an exhale. Take a breath or two there. Now inhale up into both and alternate. Exhaling, dropping right. Inhale up, exhaling, dropping left. Inhaling up, exhaling, dropping right. You get the idea. Pedal that. Walk that dog. Try not to let the head and shoulders drift forward as you do that. That happens to me a lot. Now let's come up on both toes. Drop both heels toward the mat. Reach up tall through the hips. And on an inhale, let's walk toward the hands. Exhale, let your body fold forward and hang. Forward fold. As you reach up with hands and grab your opposite elbows, we'll do a little ragdoll for a moment, gentle sway here. Leave as much bend in the knee as you need to do this comfortably. Exhale, let the head and hands hang down toward the mat. We're going to inhale. Your hands can come to shins. We're going to be at a flat back halfway up, gazes toward the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle sweep the hands up, bend the knees, protecting that lower back. Bring your hands up to prayer pose above your head. Exhale, let the hands come down and the side of your body. And we're in what is now called mountain pose. Now, mountain pose, your feet are hips width apart. They are parallel with one another like railroad tracks. You lift those shoulders up, back, let them drop down. Let the hands open toward the front of the room. Reach up through the crown of the head. Might have to tuck the chin slightly to elongate the spine. And that'll give you a nice, solid mountain pose right there. Just so you know where we are on that. I'm going to go back to the top of my mat. We're going to do what's called a half series where you're going to inhale the hands up. A little slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale halfway up to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle sweep those hands up again. Exhale, let them come down and find your mountain. Let's do that 2 more times. Building a little heat in our core and warming that spine up really nicely before we go into our few standing poses here. One more time. Make yourself nice and big. And let's bring those hands down. You can go ahead and pause at heart center with the hands. And on an inhale, we're going to step back with our right foot. The right foot is going to be at about a 45-degree angle. The left foot is pointing forward to the short end of the mat. The knee is bent on the left leg and is stacked above the ankle. You don't want it to drift outside of being above that ankle in order to protect that knee joint. The rear leg is straight, but you don't necessarily want to lock that knee out. Typically, whenever we have straight limbs in yoga, we have kind of what my instructor called forgiving limbs, where there's a gentle natural bend to the joint. We're not hyperextending it, putting pressure on the joint. On an inhale, let's bring our arms up to Warrior One. Now you're rooted down strongly through the feet, reaching high up with the hands, but you're not scrunching the shoulders up by the ears. You're keeping the chest open. Draw your tailbone slightly. This is really great for stretching a muscle called the psoas. Let's breathe here. One more breath. On an inhale, let's draw those hands down, let them sweep up, turn and open the chest toward the long side of the mat. Let the arms float up like they're just resting on clouds. Woo! Turn the rear foot, rotate it slightly so now it's parallel with the short end of the mat. Gaze out over the left hand, over the middle finger, just softly. Enjoy Warrior Two here. Nice big smile. One more breath. Let's straighten that knee and then reach forward slightly with the left hand. We're going to rotate, kind of windmill down, bring that hand to the shin. You can support yourself. If you have some mobility issues, strength issues, and needs to rest your arm on the leg, you can. Or you can go all the way down to the mat. We're going to reach high to the sky with that right hand. Gaze is forward or down at the mat will give you a little bit more stability if you feel tottery here. For triangle pose. The key here is opening the chest, twisting the torso and opening the chest toward the long edge of the mat. Now, if this extension with the arms unavailable to you, you can place your hand at the lower of the back or on your side and just draw the shoulder back. Because the function of this pose really is a twist and chest opener. That extension is very secondary. Okay, on an inhale, bring your hands down, frame that foot with your hands, and let's step up toward the foot, hanging a forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Now it's time as we exhale, bend the knees slightly, like we're sitting back in a chair. The arms can be up, or they can be at your chest if this is a strain for you. It's kind of like we're sitting on a stool. It's chair pose. All right, inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to do a half series and go to the other side. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle, sweep up. Exhale, let the hands come down to heart center. Inhale, stepping back now with the left foot. It's at about a 45-degree angle on the mat. Knee above the ankle on the front foot. Inhale, sweep those arms up to your warrior one. Remember, if you can, draw that tailbone forward, tilt that pelvis just a little bit, engage that pelvis, and it will really help stretch this psoas muscle in here, which will relieve a lot of lower back pain if you have it. One more breath here. Let's inhale and draw those hands down. Rotate that right foot out. Let the arms drift up. Warrior two. And straighten that front leg, tilt slightly forward, rotate, find your triangle. Both legs are straight, but remember, don't lock the joints out. You can, in this too, just throw this in real quickly. You can also use a block if you want, at whatever position may help you depending on your mobility, or just hold your shin. All right, let's exhale and bring those hands down. Frame the foot, pivot that back foot. Give a little push off and bring the feet together or alongside each other. They don't have to be together. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Ooh, I got a nice pop. Inhale, circle, sweep up. And let's find that chair for just a moment. All right, inhale and let's come up and let those hands come down along your sides. We're going to go into balance pose now for a moment, and we'll be doing tree pose. So find that mountain pose. In other words, get those feet parallel and stacked beneath your hips. Let's bring those shoulder blades up and back. Open up chest. Feel yourself really rooted firmly in the ground. Let's start on the left foot first. So we're going to take and you're going to transfer weight over onto the left foot. Try not to poke that hip out, but keep that hip drawn in so that there's a nice clean line here. And you're going to open up the knee toward the right knee. The right heel can rest against the ankle and the toes on the ground like a kickstand. You can bring your hands to heart center or up or whatever feels great for you. I'm going to go with heart center today. Now you can stay right here and really have all the benefits of tree pose. If you want to work on and challenge your balance more, you can draw the foot up to the calf or above the knee. I would not rest it on the knee. One thing that will help you a lot is to find what we call a drishti, a focal point to look at and gaze at that fixed point, something not moving. Ooh, I just fell out of mine. All right, let me refine my tree. Breathe. And let's come out of that hopefully with some control. I need to shake it out a little bit. Find our mountain. Ground down through both feet. Transfer weight over to that right foot now. Open up the knee to the left. Really concentrate in terms of opening that thigh area up. Bring your hands to whatever position you want and bring that foot up. You may find a gross difference in balance from one side to the other. This is a harder side for me for some reason. Couple more breaths. And hopefully come out with control. Shake it out a little bit. Let's do one last pose before we go down to our mats. In a moment, we're going to do a half series, go to our mats, and do some seated poses. Bring your feet a little bit wider than your hips. We're going to do a yoga squat. Now, this may be very difficult for a lot of folks. I'm going to give you a couple options. First off, just go as far down as you comfortably can go. We're going to drop our bottom down toward the mat and place our elbows on the insides of the legs. You may have to play around with your foot position. Tell you a couple options before we go into it. My heels will be on the mat. When people are starting out, when I started out, I could not do that. Was not comfortable at all. You can roll up a towel. You can just come up on the toes if you need to come up on the toes, or you can place a towel or a blanket rolled up under your heels. Otherwise, if you can bring your heels to the mat, go ahead and bring your heels to the mat. So keeping the torso as vertical as you can. Let's open up the legs slightly, drop the bottom down toward the mat, position your feet as needed. Elbows are on the insides of the legs. Kind of draw up through the top of the head, so hopefully you're as erect as possible, and breathe. I'm going to give you an option here. You can bring your hands down to the ground and lift the bottom up and turn the feet in and just come up as if you had just done a forward fold, circle sweeping up, or you can simply push up through the legs and come up. It'll really build the legs if you do that very often. It's a great pose for so many things. So, all right. We're going to do a half series and come down to our mats. Do some seated poses and then with a nice long shavasana with a devotional for you this evening. I keep saying this evening, whatever it is for you. So for today, inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bring one knee down to the mat, then another knee down. And go ahead and come around onto hip and swing around onto your bottom. Just as you need to be rooted well into the mat. Sit up nice and tall. We're going to bring the feet together for bound angle pose. This is great seated posture. We're reaching up, we're grasping the ankles or the feet. I'm going to start by grasping the ankles. Sit up nice and tall. Let the legs drop open. Actually try to draw the knees down toward the mat. Breathe here for a moment. Now inhale and lengthen up nice and long through the spine. And let's hinge at the hips. You can reach forward with the feet to the feet if you want. We're going to hinge at the hips, drawing the chest forward until you sort of get near what's a comfortable limit for you. And then at that point, once you're there, go ahead and let the shoulders round forward and the head hang down. You can round the body over the feet. My feet, by the way, I have kind of a diamond shape with my legs. My feet are not drawn in very close. You can do that. Right now I'm choosing to have the feet somewhat further out from the body. It'll change the dynamic of stretch. Depending on where you place your feet, it will vary the resistance in your inner thigh versus your lower back. You kind of tend to trade one off for the other depending on where you place your feet. You're going to hit both no matter what. You can also, if you want, put a little, I'm putting a very light pressure on my legs with my elbows to open the hips up a little bit more. Think on exhalation in terms of releasing, relaxing into the pose, softening into it. All right, let's inhale, come up, draw those knees together like you're closing a book. Bring your feet out a little bit, lean back onto your hands. We're just going to windshield wiper the legs. I'm going to reset that lower back a little bit after stretching it pretty deeply. My bottom always wants to walk forward when I do this. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but it always happens. All right, let's bring the feet out straight in front of us. Sit up nice and tall in a staff pose. And let's just walk the hands forward. Gentle bend to the knees. Your hands may be on your thighs, might make it down to your shins. If you are able and want to take hold of your feet, you can feel free to do that. I'm gonna opt for my shins this evening. Try to let the upper back and neck muscles relax. Let your arms hang. Relax the face. All right, let's walk the hands back up. Draw the knee in. What we call a sage pose. I'm going to turn on my mat here for a moment. So I'm on my mat. Reach up nice and tall. Sit up really straight. I'm going to take the left hand, put it on the outside of the right knee, or you can hug around that knee if you want. We're going to reach back with that right hand. We're going to do a seated twist. If you want to create a little more depth to this twist, you can put the right foot on the outside of the left leg. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, let that leg out. Let's sit up nice and tall again in staff pose. Inhale that left leg in. Nice and tall in sage pose. If you brought the foot to the outside of the leg, I'd do that again on this side. It's not necessary. That's not where you are. That's fine. Again, on inhales, think in terms of sitting up nice and tall, space between the vertebra. Exhaling, twisting more deeply. Let's inhale, come back forward. Unwrap that foot if it's wrapped around the leg. Sit up nice and tall. Extend those legs out. Let's give them a little shake. You can lean back in your hands for a moment. Do some light circling of the feet. Rolling out that ankle joint. I really feel it in the bottom of my foot. Reverse directions. Let's draw those legs into an easy seated position. I'm going to turn towards you. Speaking of rolling out some joints, we're going to relax the neck as we get ready to go down to our mats. Sit up nice and tall. Exhale and let the left ear drop toward the right shoulder. You can walk the right hand out slightly from the body. Think in terms of this right shoulder dropping down. As you do so, you'll probably begin to feel nice lengthening of the muscles along the neck. If you want to reach over and let the hand gently rest on the head, I wouldn't do a hard pull here, just a little extra pressure. A couple more breaths. Inhale, let the head come up. Exhale, drop the chin to chest. Just and sit up tall again, but let that chin come toward the chest. Inhale, let the head rise up. Exhale, let the right ear come toward the right shoulder, left hand walking out. If you place the hand on the head on the other side, you might want to do so here. Inhale, let the head come up. Exhale again, drop that Chin to chest. Reach up through the spine, though the chin is down, so you don't slump and round over here. Now we're going to draw a smiley face on our chest with our chin. So you're going to inhale and bring the chin up toward the left collarbone or shoulder. Exhale, let it come back down and go across over to the other side. Inhaling up to one side, exhaling down to center. Let's do one or two more breaths here. One full cycle of each side. And bring the chin up, reach up tall through the crown, look to the left. Exhale. Inhale forward. Exhale to the right. Inhale forward. Woo, that feels good. All right. We're going to move our way down to our mats. I got to turn to meet you where you are on yours. I want you to place the feet out in front of you. Put your hands behind the knees. Slowly walk the feet back. Long spine until your toes can come off the mat. We're going to do a little bit of engagement of our core before we go down here. You can lift your feet up like so and continue to hang on to the back of the legs. This is boat pose. It's fantastic for your core. You can open your hands out if you would like to the sides or even extend the legs. Do what's best for you. Let's breathe here. If at any time you need to touch your toes down, feel free to do that and then come back. Go ahead and bring the feet down. Sit up nice and tall. I'm going to grab the legs and I'm going to use them to hang on to as I roll back on the mat. Draw the knees in. Rock back and forth a little bit. Draw them in again nice and deeply. Let's place our feet down on the mat just a little bit more than hip width apart. Let the knees drape in slightly. Hands are on the mat beside you, kind of in an A position, or they can be alongside the body. We're going to do a bridge pose. And in order to do that bridge pose, you're going to root down through the feet. And we're going to inhale and draw the hips up, curling up from the tailbone up through the spine, reaching the hips toward the sky. Breathe here for a moment. Exhale, bring those hips or those vertebrae down one at a time until we get down to the tailbone. Let's flow up into that and out of it for about 3 breaths. So we're inhaling, peeling the spine up. Exhaling, rolling it down. Really good for the core here. There we are, nice. All right, let's draw. I gotta scooch on the mat a little bit. Got myself off. Let's draw both knees in. Take hold of the right knee, draw it in, and let the left leg come down to the mat. Pull that knee back like you're pulling it toward the shoulder pit. Then we're going to reach across. We're going to take hold of the outside of the knee. We're going to draw it across the body. The right arm is coming out in a T position, and you can look out toward the right hand, or it can be down in an A position. We're drawing that knee across the body for a reclined twist. On an inhale, draw that knee back up and in toward the shoulder pit. You can even let it drop out to the side for a little bit, kind of hinging at the hip like a book. Draw it back in one more time. Let's draw that left one up to join it. Big squeeze. And exhale, let the right leg down. And we'll do the other side. Inhale, let's draw it across the body. Actually, I'm exhaling. All right, inhale and bring that knee up, pull it in. Let's draw both knees up. Rock side to side. Can kind of lengthen out or pull those knees in tight, depending on where you want to massage your back. Or what I love to do is a little circle, making it a little bit bigger with each go around of the knees. That way I hit all of the back in a reverse direction. Draw those knees in one more time. I'm going to set our feet down on the mat. Hands are out to the side. I want you to reach out with that right leg and just let it extend open. Rest there for a moment. Feel it relax and release. Lift that left leg out and open. Feet are a little bit further than mat's width apart, or about mat's width apart. Let the feet splay open naturally. Get out any wiggles you need to. Maybe roll the shoulder blades under slightly. Open the palms toward the sky. Welcome to our final pose, Shavasana. We're going to stay here for several minutes. I would invite you to pay attention to your breath. Let's do that together for a moment. Place your right hand on your belly. As you breathe in, feel the belly rise up. Feel that breath filling the body like you're a vase, filling from the bottom up, filling the belly, then slowly up into the chest. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Maybe put your left hand on your chest. Movement of the chest will probably be very subtle. You can go ahead and let your hands come down to the mats on each side of you. If lying in Shavasana is, some people it's hard on their lower back. If that's you, you can lift the knees up, place the feet on the mat, or put a pillow beneath the knees or a folded blanket. Just do what is going to allow you to most comfortably, completely relax into this pose. As you rest there, I'm going to share with you a devotion for today. This is a reading from Streams in the Desert, Volume 1. It's an old classic that I love to read from. I have many copies of it. I'm going to be reading the reading for April 2nd when this video will post. And the scripture for this reading is this: They looked, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. This is from Exodus 16:10. Get into the habit of looking for the silver lining of the cloud, and when you've found it, continue to look at it rather than at the leaden gray in the middle. Do not yield to discouragement, no matter how sorely pressed or beset you may be. A discouraged soul is helpless. He can neither wrest the wiles of the enemy himself while in this state, nor can he prevail in prayer for others. Flee from every symptom of this deadly foe as you would flee from a viper. And be not slow in turning your back on it unless you want to bite the dust in bitter defeat. Search out God's promises and say aloud of each one, "This promise is mine." If you still experience a feeling of doubt and discouragement, pour out your heart to God and ask Him to rebuke the adversary who is so mercilessly nagging you. The very instant you wholeheartedly turn away from every symptom of distrust and discouragement, the blessed Holy Spirit will quicken your faith and breathe divine strength into your soul. At first, you may not be conscious of this. Still, as you resolutely and uncompromisingly snub every tendency toward doubt and depression that assails you, you will soon be made aware that the powers of darkness are falling back. Oh, if our eyes could only behold the solid phalanx of strength, of power that is ever behind every turning away from the hosts of darkness. Turning Godward, what scant heed would be given to the effort of the wily foe to distress, depress, and discourage us. All the marvelous attributes of the Godhead are on the side of the weakest believer who, in the name of Christ and in simple childlike trust, yields himself to God and turns to Him for help and guidance. On a day in the autumn, I saw a prairie eagle mortally wounded by a rifle shot. His eyes still gleamed like a circle of light, and then he slowly turned his head and gave one more searching and longing look at the sky. He had often swept those starry spaces with his wonderful wings. The beautiful sky was the home of his heart. It was the eagle's domain. 1,000 times he had exploited there his splendid strength. In those faraway heights he had played with the lightnings and raced with the winds, and now so far away from home, the eagle lay dying down to the death because for once he forgot and he flew too low. The soul is that eagle. This is not its home. It must not lose the skyward look. We must keep faith. We must keep hope. We must keep courage. We must keep Christ. We would better creep away from the battlefield at once if we are not going to be brave. There is no time for the soul to stampede. Keep the skyward look, my soul. Keep the skyward look. And it closes with this short little poem. Keep looking up, the waves that roar around thy feet, Jehovah Jireh will defeat when looking up. Keep looking up, though darkness seems to wrap thy soul, the light of light shall fill thy soul when looking up. Keep looking up, when worn, distracted with the fight, your captain gives you conquering might when you look up. And lastly, this Japanese proverb, we can never see the sun rise by looking into the west. Take a moment before we move out of Shavasana to extend some gratitude to yourself for taking time to care for you in mind, body, and spirit. A friend of mine says that self-care is a holy obligation. When you're ready, and you can rest here as long as you'd like, but when you're ready to begin to move out of Shavasana, slowly begin to move your fingers and toes a little bit. Maybe do some gentle circles with the feet and the hands. And then reach up nice and long through your left arm. I'm going to invite you to roll over onto your left side, or you can go to your right side if that's better for you. Rest in seed position for a moment where your knees are slightly bent, and you can cradle your head on your hands and your arm, whatever's most relaxing. This pose, seed pose, is symbolically representative of rebirth, like a seed planted in the ground waiting to spring up, waiting to arise. We lie in seed pose. When you're ready, push up out of seed pose and come to an easy seated position where we began our practice together. Let's circle sweep the hands up, bringing them together in prayer pose above the head, allowing them to come down and pause at the forehead. May God renew your mind so that you might know His good and perfect will. Bring your hands down, pause at the lips. May God fill your mouth with words of encouragement, words of praise, words of good news for those who are in darkness. Lastly, bring your hands down, let them rest at your heart center. May God fill your heart with the love and the grace of Jesus Christ. May you feel the Spirit moving in you as you go throughout your day. And lastly, I close with a word that is very old and traditional to yoga. In India, this is a greeting, but it has many translations, and one of my favorites is that the love and the light in me honors the love and the light in you. Namaste. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's practice. Uh, Please feel free to leave comments if you have questions or if you appreciated this. Let me know. I feel all blissed out. I'm getting ready to go to bed now. I shot this in the evening, but it's also a great centered way to go into your day. The sequence we did is a very holistic practice that can be used either to start your day or to end your day, or as a refreshing break in the middle. If you have questions, please leave comments. I would encourage you to drink a lot of water and hydrate after you do yoga. We move the lymphatic system and get a lot of toxins moving in our bodies, and we begin to purge those things and help them along and out. Hydrating is really, really helpful. Just good, clean water, drink lots of it. This will go a long way to helping keep you healthy. Again, thank yourself for ministering to you in mind, body, and spirit. And I look forward to seeing you in another video. I'll be posting some more videos here on our church YouTube page. I have a private Facebook group for Christian yogis if anybody wants to interact with other Christian yogis, and it's called Christ Yoga in You. If you go in Facebook and you search Christ Yoga in You, you should be able to find that. It's a great place to collaborate with folks, and there's a lot of really cool, knowledgeable, wise yogis in there. Several people I've had as instructors are in there, and people are always sharing great articles and tips, and it's just a wonderful place to collaborate. So, all right, have a blessed day, whether you're beginning or ending, and we'll see you soon.